Hello. I'm going to play the opening theme song on my keyboard today. I always wait for at least one person to pop on in, so let's... I'm starting a little late today. Sorry about that. Okay, that's a little loud. Let's see. Okay, no. That's the key of this song. Okay. So yeah, just gonna... I forgot though, I can't edit these shows because of the way that the live stream videos work. And so since I can't edit them, I try to be aware of that. But I am saving all of these on my YouTube. So if you want to watch any back episodes, today is episode 10. Decided that I'm going to make a little promise to myself today. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but I think we should play the opening theme song. Here we go. I've never played it on the keyboard before. Rainbow, family of friends, we're all friends in a rainbow world. Rainbow, family of friends, we're rainbow friends. So that is actually the theme song for a kids album that is not finished, but it's on my Bandcamp, unfinished. They'll get more finished soon. Yeah, so I just want to make an announcement real quick, because when I make announcements, then I hold myself to them a little bit better. And I guess I don't have to hold myself to this one, but before I had tried this, I tend to do these challenges. Let's just start by saying that. I tend to do challenges, a lot of like personal challenges. And even if it's like a lifelong personal challenge of having a vision of what I could do or be, and then kind of holding myself to them, even when the evidence of having lived through the experience is proving to me that it's not exactly right in how it resonates with me, I still often hold to these challenges. And then later, when the challenge is over, I kind of realize like, wow, I really knew at like moment 4 or 10 or something that I needed a course correction or an adjustment. So I decided this morning, after kind of rambling about it on my Facebook page and realizing how many things I've crammed into the last year. A year ago today, I finished my 12 albums in 12 months challenge. And yeah, I was just rambling about this, rambling, you know. But I just realized that this year has had too much in it. And, you know, when I normally release an album, or I used to release an album once every few years, and they were a little higher quality and a little more like slow cooking, you know, simmering. And then I became more of a lo-fi artist, sort of inadvertently, by making that challenge, 12 albums in 12 months, and learning to share all the time, and doing the 365 songs in 365 days on my YouTube, and learning to share my raw stuff all the time. And the combination of all of this has led to a faster moving life. Also a lot of weird inner battles. And I realized that this show that I'm doing right now has the purest of intentions. I really do want to pass on all of these things that have helped me. I'll show you a list of everything I'm going to go through. You know, I've made all these little placards, so to speak. Oops, I dropped my ukulele. And so I want to keep doing it, but I also want to use this time and this opportunity to sort of check in with my natural resonance. And, you know, oops, I lost my little heart. So my natural resonance is maybe not a live streamer, maybe not a scheduled live streamer, because I've always, my whole life, I've had this strange disconnect between being a performer in the sense of, like, I write music and I write songs and I record them and I want to share them. Like, I just put up my NPR Tiny Desk video last night it's silly. It's just in my car. I'm playing with keyboards, and that has a lot of joy in it because it's me by myself with my phone, and it's just on my own time and in my own world in my head. And so I know I'll continue to share. So if you're worried, I'm sure I will share my whole life, but I'm trying to use my life to learn what works for my life. And I encourage you to do the same. And so for me, what I've learned in these 10 days, well, 9 days, and now today's just starting, and it's starting late because something came up and I wanted to give my boyfriend a hug. Anyway, nothing was wrong with him. It was just how timing was working. Anyway, I've learned about myself in the past that I have a lot of anxiety with show days, I call them. And so, like, I don't have performance anxiety. Like, right now, I'm not anxious at all. I have what I call show day anxiety. And so show day anxiety I describe as sort of like all the things that go into the bigger picture of preparing yourself emotionally and mentally and spiritually and everything to, like, switch gears. Oh, that's weird. It made my flowers turn off. Oh, no, it didn't. It was because I wiggled. So the switching gears is what feels a little off to me. I thought that sort of forcing myself through that feeling would be good, but I think it could also be just as good if I ever feel inspired after this season is done to make a season 2 of this show, which who knows if I will, because some of these shows are like 2 hours long, and I'm sharing, like I said, all those topics. That may be the main thing I had wanted to share, and then I'll just be like, hey, don't forget, I got all that on my YouTube, and you can watch it anytime you want to. So we'll see. We'll see if there's ever a season 2. But I don't want to assume there will be a season 2. But if there is a season 2, it probably won't be live streamed. It'll probably be in my usual YouTube methods. And it'll probably be more scrappy and more weird and less imitative of, some of my heroes like Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street or any of that. Yes, those are my heroes, even though I often write very dark songs. So thank you if you're showing up and joining. This is just the start of the show. I'm going to ramble now for like 108 minutes. That seems to be about the number. No, wait, I did bad math. Well, yesterday was 84 minutes, but other days have been more like 100 so. Anyway, so I'm going to start the show. That's just the intro. But to start the show, we start with the music lesson. Da-na-na-na. Okay, today's music lesson is a quick tip to finding other keys, the circle of fifths. So, if you want to learn a lot more from me, I do teach piano lessons privately, even in these virtual times. So, if you want real piano lessons where I really take you through all kinds of stuff, I do them over FaceTime, and you can hire me, and I'd be happy to help you if I have spots. I don't have many spots open, but, feel free to reach out. But this is just like a quick thing. I just try to give little tips. So there are 9 previous tips on keys and chord progressions and how to make a chord and how to play in a key and basic stuff. So today's quick tip is how to find other keys. So here we go. So we've been starting with this is C, by the way, if you don't know. And here's the C major scale. That's the next C, C to C. These particular notes have a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do sound. This is all on my back episodes. I've learned I need to try not to do big old recaps. Oh, I gotta take this filter off because there's a random promotion for like salon something at the bottom. I have no idea what that's about. Okay, there we go. Little rainbow filter. I was about to show you this again. Anyway, live stream problems. Okay, so the quick tip for today is that the key of C, this is just a physical trick you can do to know which keys are which. So the key of C is also another way of saying the C scale. And now if you go from your thumb, which is on the C, and you push down your pinky, one finger per note. Now you push down your pinky. This is called the This is called the circle of fifths. And this is 5 notes higher than that C. And then this is the key that is going to use 1 sharp. Now this trick won't show you where that sharp will be, but your ear might be able to tell you. Or if you go back and watch, maybe it was episode 5 or 6, I taught about the whole, half progression. And I did it very slowly, and you'd be able to follow it. It's not that hard. But yeah, you might want to watch these in order. They're going to be time-stamped. They're all on my YouTube. I did make a playlist. Okay, so that's the key of G. So if you're in the key of C, that has no sharps or flats. And sharps or flats has to do with black keys usually 90% of the time. Then you go to the key of G. That has 1 sharp. Then if you go up, use the same trick. So the trick I'm showing here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes higher. Circle of 5th is the key of G. That has 1 sharp. Now go 5 notes higher. See how it's thumb to pinky? Circle of 5th tells you that that is the key of D. So that had 2 sharps. So that's the key of D. So the key that has no sharps, the key that has 1 sharp, the key that has 2 sharps. Here's the key that has 3 sharps. It's always thumb to pinky. It's always a 5th higher. So 3 sharps. And I've learned that visual-minded people really appreciate this. So here's going to be the key with 4 sharps. Here's the key with 5 sharps. And so it's always that 5 letters higher. And then I like to stop, even though we could go up into 6 and 7 sharps. And I like to start with my left hand now. And now we're going to do the same trick going downward to do flats. So C has no flats. F has 1 flat. And then you would think, oh, just push my pinky down here. But that's wrong. You can hear it, that that's not what's called a 5th. Listen to this one. It's pretty. So that's a 5th. That's not a 5th. So then we bring our pinky up there. We could count the intervals, and that's how you would know. But that B flat is the key with 2 flats. And then we're going to go down from there. And if you know like do, ti, la, so, fa, it's always that fa going down. But we won't get into that today. Because these music lessons, they were really fun to teach when they first started, but now I'm building on things like, 9 lessons worth, and different people are watching different ones, and so I feel bad not refreshing, not going over everything again. But I'm just going to assume that if you want to learn all this from me, you can go back and watch those, and I'll tell you more in those by going back in time and watching them on my YouTube. Okay, so E flat is the key with 3 flats, A flat is the key with 4 flats, D flat is the key with 5 flats. I'll show you it by example. I'm not showing you the real fingers that you should use because that's more complicated. But did you see how I used 1, 2, and then a white key, and then 3, 4, 5, and then a white key. And then this doesn't count. When I say that there's 5 flats, this doesn't count because it's the same as this one. There you go. There's your music lesson for today. Oh, and then, so D flat, I ran out of keys. But D flat is 5 flats. G flat is 6 flats. And then I could do C flat, but it's kind of pointless because a C flat is also called a B. And that gets into other topics. But you might remember that from the first or second or third day's lesson when I talked about sharps and flats. So like this is a C flat because to flat something is just to go a half step lower. And this is a C. So here's a C, that's a C flat. And so it's very rare that we call a white key a flat or a sharp. But it happens on occasion right in this area, because of that lack of black key there. All right, there's your music lesson for the day. I went kind of fast because I really do feel weird teaching music lessons that are cumulative to different people watching. I actually think maybe that's what it is about live streaming. I'm going to talk about this today because I need this show to also be for me. So, hey, Jess, what's hard for me about live streaming is that there is no through line. The same people are not watching everything. They're watching pieces of things, and that may also be true on my YouTube channel. I'm sure it is, but I don't have to be aware of that while I'm trying to impart things. So this has been much more challenging than I was thinking it would be. Although really fun, because it's really fun to have people show up and just show up out of the blue and to be able to say hi to you. So wait, let's see what names I can say now. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Charity. Hi, Amber. Hi, James. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Melissa. Okay, that was fun. Okay, here we go. Here's the doodle share. That's the next segment. It's time for the doodle share. Da-na-na-na. Okay. Here we go. So the doodle share is basically just me reminding you to create things. You don't have to be good at things to create. You don't have to have an art school degree. you can just create things because it's fun. And then I also learned through hanging out with my niece on FaceTime that it's also fun to just share things that you create, share things around your house. That's the next segment. Let's change the filter. Let's do some hearts. No, wait, let's do this one. I always like this one. Okay, so doodle share time. So for today's doodle share, dun, 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 is all about creativity as therapy. And so just to show you, I tend to draw this little open heart, and I just called it an open heart. I didn't realize it was really an open heart until much later, but I tend to draw it in the fronts of all my journals, slappily. Yesterday I showed about the sunshine. I often just draw a little sunshine. Doodles are also a great way to cheer yourself up. Just allow yourself to doodle. It's really fun. Anyway, I'll show you how I make my little open heart. People have made fun of me in the past for not closing my doodles. But later I realized that it was maybe spiritually and or emotionally intentional. There you go. That's my little open heart, dude. I don't know if I was on the screen correctly when I was doing it. Here we go. And I always put a little curl at the top, or I try to. And then when I'm feeling very like spiritually intentional, I'll put like 7 little guys coming out of it. But some days I just put 3. I don't know why I would do 7. Probably because then it matches my sunshines, which I try to always have 7 little guys on. But we learned yesterday that sometimes I draw 8. This is the one I drew 8. So, yeah, that's it. And then anything's cuter with a face on it. So there you go. Throw a little face on there, and you got a doodle. Yeah, I'm running out of doodles. Like I showed you in the first week of shows, I showed you all my regular doodles, like my snail dude. That's my favorite one to do. And I did my caterpillar and butterfly. And anyway, so now this week, since the theme of this week is creativity as therapy, I'm trying to just show you the doodles I seem to always do that are just helping me. Because you all know how to doodle. You don't need me to teach you to doodle. I have no art degree. And in fact, when I teach, like when I try to cram in teaching, like in the music lesson segment, I'm often very fast-paced. And I think that works for a long-term relationship, you know, when I can get to know each of my students and can pace it for them. But I think it doesn't work as well in a video format. So people have recommended my whole life that I make like a teaching show. But I'm in the skin of myself as a teacher for the past 10 years when I've been teaching piano. And I'm pretty aware that I move very fast, not very linearly, and that I'm also a very intuitive teacher. So I pay attention to each one-on-one student relationship's face and vibe and reactions, and then I adapt how I teach for each student. And so that just doesn't translate super well to an organized thing like a YouTube show. So if I ever share more music lesson type things, you know, then I'll do it. But the theme of today, creativity as therapy, I'm having a different experience than you right now. So today is going to be my most meta show ever. My experience is not watching me, and my experience is not getting something out of me doing this show, which you may or may not be anyway. My experience is, what does this experience feel like showing up for, you know, people, but who knows who will show up every day, every weekday at 11 a.m. for now 10 weekdays in a row. And how is it making me feel to share this much, this regularly in a live stream way? And it definitely, the main thing that I've learned so far, that I'm really hitting on today so far, is just that it is reminding me a little too much of live shows. And which anyone should be able to deduce that it would. But I didn't. I, for some reason, thought that live would just be fun. And it is fun. It's exhilarating to see you here. Like, hi, Brian. But it is also hard for me to know how to have any sort of through line or continuity when I also want to change what I'm saying or how I'm speaking, or acknowledge things that I said before so-and-so just popped in. Yeah, I think anything words related, maybe this isn't true for music. Maybe, you know, maybe I'll find that live streaming at random moments and playing a ukulele song and people dropping in and out. Maybe that would feel wonderful, especially if it didn't have words. But a lot of my life has been about sharing ideas and words, and those have a through line. And so the live stream format, or even the live show format sometimes, is very hard for me. But also hard for me because of the emotions that go in it. I think it is hard to, I don't know. I just wonder, I've been thinking about this more and more. I just wonder if there are natural performers in the world. People who, I don't know. It seems closely correlated with popularity. But anyway, this is supposed to be the Doodle Share segment, so I'm going to go back to my script. All right. Let's see, where is it? So next up is show and tell. Oh, I got to change the filter real quick. Sorry about that. Okay. Show and tell. Da-na-na-na. Okay, so, oops, I shouldn't have pulled off of it until I flipped it. So for today's show and tell, let's get that all set up. I'm going to show you a stack of journals. That's what I wrote down because of the theme being creativity, creativity as therapy. So, journals. Basically, I mean, this is just one stack. I mean, the whole reason I wanted to show this, I would say these are just maybe in the last few months. Maybe 6 months. I don't really know. But I have journals back to like when I was in college. And, oh, this one's empty. Heck yeah. Woo. This was one that's made by my friend Ryan Wyrick. This one's not empty. Dollar Tree. Fancy one from a bookstore in Chicago, my favorite bookstore, the Bookseller, although there's other great bookstores there. Aw, it's got the heart in it, but also like a doodle. Yeah, creativity teaches me a lot about myself. So I will say I am feeling like I've been trying to put my own feelings aside in this show, and that is actually why it's not working so well for me. I'm learning that I have this weird propensity, this weird desire to want to help or give something away, but if I don't have it that day, then it becomes very hard to show up. And maybe that's what like being a mother is or something, and I'm not a mother, so maybe I've just never learned that lesson or how that feels. I'm going to try to keep talking and showing you all these journals. What's this one say? January 2020. This one lost its cover. Yeah, Ryan's really fun. He just has weird things in the journals that he makes. More Dollar Tree. This one I don't know where I got. And that's a cute little journal. It says extracurricular. I feel like I got it on the road somewhere. I think I got it in Colorado. Yeah, I did when I was visiting my sister and her family. This one, I think Stephanie, my sister, gave this to me. But this one, Dollar Store. This one I can't remember where I got, but I think also Colorado. There was this little... No, I don't remember. Maybe. Anyway, this cute little shop in Colorado. But yeah, I just highly recommend journaling. It's very useful. Hi, Barbara. If you don't like journaling, you know, doodling, sketching, anything, keeping lists, but it's just a little small way to add some joy to your life. It's also related to my next segment today. So this is just me showing you how much journaling has helped me. Most of these are dollar store ones nowadays, Dollar Tree, because I realized that when I used to like buying Barnes & Noble ones, my addiction, or my love of journaling, because I learned it, it's a creative practice for me, it just got too expensive. I don't even remember where I got this one, but it's so weird and artsy. I think that one's also Chicago. This one I know is Colorado. I buy more nice things for myself when I'm traveling, I guess. Or maybe my sister might have bought that one for me. Dollar Tree. So this is just a stack of journals that's like 6 months worth, just to kind of show you. Recent fave, because it even had a lock and a key. just to kind of show you, what a journaling life can feel like. Like, sometimes I think people think of journaling as some intimidating thing, and it just doesn't have to be. These are very scrappily filled. I do not write on every line. I just found a big chunk of random pages empty in this one. I mean, who knows why? Like, just stopped using it, and then, oh, there it is back. Oh, I saved the pages for something. Oh, because I was keeping track of a challenge where I was listing songs. See what I mean? So, this one got, like, stained and destroyed, but it's very cute. And then this is the one I just finished. And now I'm into, where's the one I'm into? And I'm gonna start this one next. Now I'm into this one. So, this is what my dad gave me at Christmas. So, yeah, this is just a reminder, use your life. If you like journaling, maybe don't be such a perfectionist about it. Dollar Tree journals are cheap, but even just if you get a nice one. I've been trying to pass this message along my whole life because when I was younger, I was a perfectionist about my journaling, and I thought, use every line, or I used to believe in those concepts like you should do it every day, or these other weird constructs that people put on journaling. I've seen memes floating around lately that say, like, you're going to wish you had documented this time, and you should really be writing down what life is like right now for future you who might want to read it. And that is a stressful concept to be putting in people's heads. Like, keep track of this really depressing, unexpected time. Like, what if you don't want to? What if you want to escape? What if you don't want to write about the real heavy negative stuff you're feeling? What if you instead just want to write and doodle and dream of a screenplay or some random thing you've been wanting to do? Like, you don't have to take something that could be joyful or could be cathartic for you and turn it into a project. And that's, this is a very meta show. Today's is the most meta I'll ever be, where I'm talking about the show as I'm doing the show. But I have taken a concept that I had, which is making a cute show for adults with heavy feelings, but making it cutesy with rainbows. And I've taken this concept and I've turned it into a project for myself, which started to generate some negative feelings about my own desire to help, because at all times, while you're doing something helpful, you're not going to always feel helpful. Sometimes you're going to feel unhelpful or unpopular or unliked or just too weird or just too rambly or whatever. And I started posting these posts that sounded like I was justifying or too much self-criticism. I have no idea. And it just started to make me aware of what the construct of my own vision turning into a project kind of did to me. And my whole life philosophy, my whole thrust in life has been how to take these visions and these ideas and these dreams we have and not turn them into a project, which is a very adult thing to do, but instead to, I was going to say turn them into, but what I really mean is allow them to be play. Allow it to feel like play. Allow it to, like, look at that. I just found that in a journal. Why do I have stickers and a giant word anyway? Maybe this was a video. Oh, because I was vlogging. Doodles. Learning to share. Oh, weird. I forgot about this. Well, I'll save it. This is so strange. My point is, I hope that I have to speak not to the people coming in and out in the live stream, which has been distracting for me and I thought was a good growth experience as in teaching me how to do it, but instead, and this is why I'm getting meta today, instead it has been a combination of growth, but for me, growth never teaches the thing I want it to teach. I wanted the people coming in and out in the live stream to teach me how to deal with it and manage it and become a better live streamer and therefore a better performer and better on stage, but instead it was doing that at first, but then it started teaching me its opposite. And this happens over and over in my life. And so now what it's teaching me is just a gentle, kind, day after day, like water wearing down a stone, the stone of my own ideas. It's instead of teaching me the thing I wanted to learn, it's teaching me you are who you are, and it's okay that you are who you are. And if you need to do things like this in an unstructured way and without people watching right at the time you're making it because that's too distracting for you, as an introvert who loves these people who keep popping in and is affected by them and wants to start the story over when you see them pop in, or wants to acknowledge them, or changes the tone of the show based on who pops in and out, For me, that's just a little too jarring. And so that's the meta. This is me using creativity, my creativity of creating this show, as my own therapy, which is it's teaching me who I am. And I've known this for years, that I am not a natural performer. I am a natural creator, and a natural wants to share things I've created after they're done. And that is probably closer to being like a writer than like a performer. And that's hard. That is a hard thing to learn when you are the best medium for your own work, because every time I've tried to involve other singers and other people, that is an amount of work that is just insane for how little pay there is in this field. You know, if I were to go out and seek singers and work with people who love performing to sing my songs, or the songs pouring through me that half the time don't even feel like mine. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. It's a very hard thing to wake up to yourself, I think, and realize what your natural strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and not necessarily want to have those things be true, but they just are true. Anyway, that's the show and tell for today. And that's how you can use creativity as therapy by journaling. And now I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the next segment. I buried my list. Let me show you. The next segment today, I'm jumping to it early. I have to remember not to forget the imaginary power. I think we're going to skip the imaginary power today. I'll just tell you. Imaginary power for today was me telling you to write a musical in your mind. But all I'll say about that is, you know, that's what brains are for. You can dream. You can take a journal, something cute, and you can just dream, write something, and you don't have to feel discouraged about it. You can just create it and see how it makes you feel to just imagine something. And, you know, people make jokes like, oh, so-and-so just always has so many ideas, but then doesn't bring them into the world. But, like, so what? That is bringing it into the world by imagining something and creating it. Maybe you just create it with your own family or your own best friend. And maybe you don't ever share it with anyone outside of your group. But that is a way that your imagination can bring you some joy. This segment is often much deeper than that, but that's all I'm going to say on that today. All right, moving on to the book report. Da-na-na-na. Okay, whoops, I got to get my books. That's probably the hardest thing about doing this show live stream style, although if I did it as an edited show, I'd probably never edit it, because edits are hard for me. So this may be the best I can do in my lifetime with my strengths and weaknesses. And this is where, if I really believe I want to be like Mr. Rogers, I would say, and that's okay. Or like Bob Ross. I think I'm a little too depressing to be like those people. Like, they're my heroes. Like, I look up to them. But I think I have a naturally, I slip into my own black holes all the time. Places where I get discouraged or just get overwhelmed by being alive. And maybe that's relatable to you, so maybe that's why this is the Mr. Rogers show for adults. There, that was to make me feel better. Okay, I gotta get my script. Okay, book report. It's time for the book report. All right. Oh yeah, I always forget that when I'm on the book report, I don't need to put my phone on books, stacking them up high. I can bring it down a little lower. Could probably unplug now too. All right. I could do a new filter, maybe. There. All right. That's a weird book report filter today, but here we go. Book report. So it's day 2. It's day 2 of Creativity as Therapy Week. And this is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I'm going to talk about this one for at least one more day today. Maybe tomorrow too. Because this is really like the main, like if you are creatively blocked and you are not using your own creative spirit in your life, like this is a really great book to break through that. I became very different after reading and studying this book. I even took a class with a social worker on this book where we segmented it out week by week. Not being a social worker myself, but liking to do that kind of work, I also envisioned that someday I would run these classes on the artist's way, and then I just never did it. But I think it's because I have so many things I want to do and say, and organizing them into one cohesive thing, like this show, is very, 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 very hard for me. Like, I like it. It gives me a lot of light and a lot of energy, and then it kind of burns itself out, like a too fast vibrating kind of star. Like, it's too much in its head. The idea, not me. Well, maybe me too. But it's too much in its head, and it's not allowing room for all the other ways it wants to create or vibrate or be or become. It gets too dense and too bright for me to have to live in this experience every day, not knowing how it will look as a live stream, not knowing who will show up, not knowing how I'll feel when suddenly 11 a.m. Eastern time hits. So welcome to the creativity as my own personal therapy show today, because this has been like, I'm using the show today to get a little bit more meta than usual. And I'm probably going to have a lot of like getting meta, like remorse later. But I just wanted to talk about why I'm saying that this show is probably, this season of this show and or probably this show ever is going to be done on Friday. Because it's just a little too intense for me to live stream every day. I thought I would love it. I thought I would love being helpful. But I think I would love being helpful if I felt helpful. I think I feel out of the 100 minutes of talking each day, I feel momentarily helpful quite a few times. And that is good. I love that. But for the amount of ratio that I'm putting into it, I think what I've learned about myself in the past year is that when I project a vision of something out in advance and decide I'm going to do or be a thing, and then require myself to show up for that thing unpaid, just out of love and a desire to share or give a certain thing, if that thing doesn't produce the results I either thought or hoped or expected, or would feel like imbalance with the amount of effort I'm putting into it, then I, for myself, for my own heart healing, for my own growth, need to stop doing that thing. Maybe this is something most people can't relate to, because most people are sort of boxed into different commitments in ways that, you know, I'm boxed into my piano teaching commitment because it pays my bills, but there's a lot of other things that I do creatively that I'm not boxed into as a commitment. And after years of doing challenges that I boxed myself into as commitments to show myself that I could show up for myself, now I've sort of learned, I have the hangover from years of doing that, which is now I'm almost the exact flip, which is if something starts to feel not useful for me, then even if I have those bursts of moments of usefulness for other people, then I need to, for me, stop doing it, because I'm the main one experiencing my life and other people are just popping in for a soundbite, and I can't live my whole life for those moments. It's too hard for me. Also, I do feel less useful, which is strange because I also feel more useful, but I feel useful in those bursts. Okay, this is supposed to be the book report. Like I said, I'm kind of destroying my own show today, and I'm not meaning to. I could just follow the script because I made this beautiful script and I have this lovely show. But episode 10 so far has been about being meta and admitting how this experience actually makes me feel to do it while it's happening. And I'm seeing 3 lovely bee names on my screen, but I'm also seeing that the live number keeps going in and out, so those might just be like leftover names, even though it says that they're watching, but I have no idea if they're watching, but they're still on my screen, even though it says I don't have viewers right at this second. So that's a weird feeling. So, you know, but there were people here, and I don't know. I'm going to assume that Facebook is right, and it says that I don't have any viewers right now. So while I don't have any viewers, I will say hi to myself. Hi, Jessica. This is stressful. Doing this every day is stressful. I thought it would be very helpful for people. It seems like it's very helpful in random bursts. But having no way of knowing when people are going to drop in and out, it's too stressful for me. It's too much like doing a live show every day. So for today, for my own heart, I made a commitment to myself that I would be done with doing this on Friday so that I don't have to feel this kind of stress every day in the name of helping. I think I have this weird savior complex that wants to help everyone and share and pass on the peace that I've found through some of these practices that I'm trying to share. But if the method of sharing creates so much stress in me that I'm no longer peaceful, I'm no longer useful to you, or I'm no longer calm enough to really share my true heart, then it's not right. For me. And who knows, I mean, no one asked me to make 100-minute long shows about 12 different segments and feelings. Like, no one asked me to do this, and yeah. I asked me to do it. I asked me to try it because I had this idea a while ago, and I was going to do it as a kids show, and then I realized over the years, I'm like, but I'm not drawn to kids music. I keep putting that on a shelf. And I have the one kids album that I am going to finish. That's a commitment to myself. Maybe I'll do that when this show gets done on Friday. That'd be cool. But then I just did it again. I just made another commitment with my time. I just got to stop doing that. Okay. So the book report. So I will pass on to you the morning pages. So that's what I'm going to read about today. Morning pages. Okay, here you go. This is from The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron. The basic tools. So she tells about the 2 basic tools. I won't read that part because I'll tell you the other one maybe tomorrow, but maybe I won't tell you about it because we're in quarantine. So get the book. There's 2 basic tools. I'm just going to read you one of them. The morning pages. In order to retrieve your creativity, you need to find it. I ask you to do this by an apparently pointless process I call the morning pages. You will do the pages daily through all the weeks of the course and, I hope, much longer. I have been doing them for a decade now. I used to do these more regularly. I have students who have worked with them nearly that long and who would no more abandon them than breathing. Ginny, a writer-producer, credits the morning pages with inspiration for her recent screenplays and clarity in planning her network specials. I'm superstitious about them now, she says. When I was editing my last special, I would get up at 5 a.m. to get them done before I went into work. What are morning pages? Put simply, the morning pages are 3 pages of longhand writing, strictly stream of consciousness. Oh God, another morning. I have nothing to say. I need to wash the curtains. Did I get my laundry yesterday? Blah, blah, blah. They might also, more ingloriously, be called brain drain, since that is one of their main functions. There's no wrong way to do morning pages. These daily morning meanderings are not meant to be art, or even writing. I stress that point to reassure the non-writers working with this book. Writing is simply one of the tools. Pages are meant to be simply the act of moving the hand across the page and writing down whatever comes to mind. Nothing is too petty, too silly, too stupid, or too weird to be included. The morning pages are not supposed to sound smart, although sometimes they might. Most times they won't, and nobody will ever know except you. Nobody is allowed to read your morning pages except you. And you shouldn't even read them yourself for the first 8 weeks or so. Just write 3 pages and stick them into an envelope, or write 3 pages in a spiral notebook and don't leaf back. Just write 3 pages and write 3 more pages the next day. And then there's some examples, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'll read this part. All that angry, whiny, petty stuff that you write down in the morning stands between you and your creativity. Worrying about the job, the laundry, the funny knock in the car, the weird look in your lover's eye, this stuff eddies through our subconscious and muddies our days. Get it on the page. The morning pages, this is in italics, the morning pages are the primary tool of creative recovery. All right, so that is pages, it looks like 9 through 11 in this book, The Artist's Way. And I will say that that was very true for me, especially when I was still holding on to a lot of my feelings from traumatic experiences and I wasn't processing them through my own art, through my own songwriting, through my own life through my own ways that I share, like on Facebook or on Instagram. Like now I let my emotions and my feelings and everything move through me, but back then I didn't. I got distracted again. This is the meta show. It still shows that nobody is here. It shows that I've been live for 45 minutes and people have come in and out. But yeah, this is very, very hard for me. This strange meta experience of sharing about sharing while sharing a show that is scripted. So I can't just be free. Maybe that's the next thing I need to try, is see if just going live and being free is different than going live with a script. Probably. I mean, it's a loose script, but it's still a script. Maybe if I just go live when I actually feel like it and I don't tell anyone about it. Maybe if I just play music. I don't know. There's something about being a words person where the whole point of the words that you're sharing is the through line of the words. So the sadness that I'm feeling then in my own show, oops, trying to click on that. It's showing that there are no viewers, but it's also showing a 1 and a 2, and when I click on it, I can't see who you are. It says there aren't any. But it also says a number that there are, so I have no idea. Yeah, so this is the first time I've ever been meta about my own show. Like describing how doing the show makes me feel while doing the show. I don't recommend it to my future self. Like doing the show is stressful enough, but also trying to be authentic and share the authentic feelings of what the show makes me feel while doing the show is a little too much. Okay, so let's go on to the next segment. I need to change the filter. Feeling your feelings. Dun-dun-dun-dun. All right, these guys are just chilling in the feelings chair today. So I think I need to say goodbye to this guy. See, these actually have a lot of really special meaning for me. And by doing this show, here's another meta thought. By doing this show, all of these things that had special meaning to me now have come to have kind of like an absurd quality, because like I'm an adult and I have stuffed animals, but they have special meaning to me in a sort of heart-healing sort of way. And so just kind of like posing them around like props in my show has actually made me feel kind of crappy about myself. I mean, not big feelings crappy, but a little crappy. I'm also just feeling self-conscious, quarantined. Maybe that's what this all comes down to. Let's talk about this. This was not what I was going to say today in the Feeling Your Feelings segment, but the reason I'm feeling so crappy is because this quarantine and all of what's coming with it is making me feel crappy too. But I just went to this place. Oh, I don't like this filter because I don't like looking at myself right now. There. Flowers. I just went to this place when this all started of feeling like I needed to be helpful. And it's almost like compulsive helper remorse that I'm processing now. Is like this desire to talk with others about what they're feeling and share tips and techniques with others to manage their feelings more easily when, who am I to assume they don't know how to manage their feelings? I don't know, maybe because I think of my past self. Like this show in a way is kind of for my past self and other people who would resonate with me, but they're often not free at this time and they're often not able to come, and so it's like kind of just weird to make these in a live stream way every day versus my imaginary self that normally makes YouTube videos in a way that is on my own time and when it feels right to do so. But then also there's a part of me, by setting it up as a live stream, there's a part of me that doesn't trust myself because I'm so exhausted from setting up challenges for myself. So there's a part of me that knows that if I want to be helpful, I have to commit to it like a time and decide to do it. Otherwise, I'm just not going to do it. And I know that that's relatable. I know a lot of people who have all these good intentions to get this or that project done, clean out the closet in the basement, paint the house, paint all the houses in different rainbow colors. There's all these millions of projects people seem to have that they leave in their mind for a later time. And so I am no different on that. I do that I don't do it with home projects, I do it with creative projects. And there are these ideas that I have of things I want to bring into the world. And then when I finally sort of force myself to bring them into the world, I realized I was fine without bringing them into the world. And maybe I was fine, but maybe these dreams did need to be in the world. It's just they didn't need to be maybe as big of a deal as I was making them. Like I thought I had to be like the next Mr. Rogers, except for adults with complex feelings. But it's like, I think what I need is to do it once. Like, do it now for these few weeks. Like, while I was still feeling okay with everything going on in the world, I had this as something to do to help people feel better. But now that I'm starting to not feel as okay about everything, or rather, I'm feeling okay, but I need to be more in touch with all of the complexity of what I'm feeling, now doing a scripted show is feeling a little less right for me. So, this is an example of creativity as therapy in a very meta way. It's kind of funny because I just noticed what I said I was going to talk about in the Feeling Your Feelings segment. And now I'm actually going to let myself talk about it. So we're already into the Feeling Your Feelings segment. I just did it very freestyle today. But check it out. Allowing and flow. Even if there are tears, then laughing over and over. So, what I want to talk about today in the Feeling Your Feelings segment is the concept of allowing. Like, feelings want to just be allowed. That's what they want. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be allowed to move through you. It's very much the same as your breath. It's very much the same as creative flow. They just want to come, like the intensity and the anxiety that I get from doing these shows. They want to come, they want to be acknowledged, and then they want to be released. Goodbye, feeling, you know? And I think I read somewhere that all feelings naturally only want to stay for about 90 seconds. So, like, if we can just not attach a story to them. Like, I've attached a story to the anxiety that I'm feeling every day. Because if I wanted to, if I were someone who could work with pressure, who could work with anxiety, who could work with what I call, and said earlier in the show day anxiety. If I could work with that, if I could manage that and realize that that was the fuel of my life, and it makes my life expand, and it makes me feel bigger and useful, if I could work with that feeling on a regular basis, like I used to when I was younger, I did all kinds of piano competitions. I worked with the feeling of stress. I was an A student, and I would work with it. And then my life got bigger and more expansive, and I experienced a kind of success in the world because that anxiety I was feeling from kind of showing up for my life, showing up for my visions, showing up for you, whether or not you're here didn't matter. I would keep showing up and doing the work. And that kind of, or if I didn't win the competition, all of that showing up, like I used to be like almost like a master at that when I was younger because it was just what was expected of me. And now I tend to do almost the opposite. I tend to try things, and when that feeling of stress starts to build up a little too high, I tend to poke the balloon now. Success creates stress. I mean, those words even sound similar. Success, stress, stress. There you go. I made up a new concept. You're welcome. But there is something about doing things in the world and being more and more successful at doing them that will start to stress you out. And people talk about that in all kinds of books about success versus failure. Like, failure has like a cooling energy, kind of like the blue character in the movie Inside Out. Failure has this like, oh, well, we didn't make it, but let's all go get ice cream together. The sports team that does that. Or, oh, well, we didn't get into this or that thing that was our dream. Well, let's make the best of it and do this other smaller thing instead. Or let's make a new dream. I have found that in my life that success has given that pressure that it's like I can't in good conscience, because I'm being very meta today, I can't teach a part that's about allowing and flow, allowing yourself to feel what you feel, and not acknowledge that I am feeling too overwhelmed to keep doing this show. There's something overwhelming for me about witnessing who is coming in and out. I have way too much baggage around and trauma around being unpopular, being unliked, not being the cool kid, not being successful in the things that I do. And because I have so much trauma around that, this experience is triggering that for me. It's making me way too aware of the ways that I want to be helpful, and I want to share my heart, and I want to share my gifts, and I want to share my songs, and I want to share my ideas, and I want to share what's worked for me. But the weepiness I'm feeling, I don't feel when I'm alone. I don't feel it when I am using these concepts and turning them towards myself. When I do that, like I did this weekend, and I made these long YouTube videos where I did this exact same thing, and I talked to imaginary people, and I wrote songs, and they're unformed and meandering, and they're on my YouTube, and there's 2 different headings. One is quarantine thoughts, and the other is like parked car thoughts. And they have like 9 different songs in them all weekend long. And I did that joyfully, and I healed my own broken places by talking through issues about what's happening in the world right now, by writing songs, by going up and down with all kinds of thoughts, and I allowed it, and I flowed with it, and I felt better at the end. But so far with this show, and this is the only version I think where I'll ever be this meta, because this is making me feel really vulnerable and really uncomfortable, even though nobody's here right now, or maybe one person is. I can't see who it is. It keeps telling me I have no viewers, so I don't know who it is, but so, you know, in other days I've had a lot more viewers, but still not as many as, you know, some of my friends have had going live with music, or as many as I've had from other things that I've shared. And I know it shouldn't be about the number. I know it shouldn't, but it still is a weird, insecure feeling of feeling like, wait, why am I doing this if nobody's here right now? And who am I talking to? And yes, I could say it's because I'm saving them on my YouTube later, and it is. But I guess then the real question is, well, why make myself go through the live experience if I don't enjoy the live experience? Why make myself be formulated and structured the way I forced myself to do, like the 444 Hearts Challenge? I forced myself to work in the studio and make high quality stuff to prove to myself that I could. But I did it by working like 6 hours a night and never resting. And I was getting like really overwhelmed by it. And that's the opposite of what I'm trying to teach in today's Feeling Your Feelings segment, which is allowing and is flow. It's like the things that I need to learn with my life are the things I don't let myself do. And the things that I need to learn in my life are the things I keep saying I want to teach you. But like, why don't I just do it? And I think it's a lot of baggage and a lot of trauma from my childhood. And like the pressures of being an A student in a high-performing piano competition, get into a music conservatory kind of kid. And I liked being smart, but I internalized every message that came at me from an adult or a teacher, that I needed to try to be the best and do the best job at literally everything I ever did. And it made me a high-performing person who could work in all kinds of high-performing jobs, at least in the early part of my life. But then I just later couldn't. I couldn't do it. I ended up going down a weird rabbit hole in my 20s of exploring a lot of feelings, allowing them to move through me. And I have to stop disowning that part of my life. Like that part of my life, as much as I like to disown it and say that it derailed me, it also created me. This feelings-obsessed, help people with their feelings type of person that I am. That's the part of me that I love. That's the part of me that I enjoy being. And the part of me that I don't enjoy being, and I always think I'll enjoy being because it's my childhood coming up and wanting to make myself into something more successful so that you can think I'm successful, but really so that I can think I'm successful. But that rigid kind of teachery childhood, internalized childhood stuff, that's the part of me that keeps seeing who I am when I'm just being free on my Instagram or just sharing something on my Facebook because I felt like it that day. And when I'm feeling that freedom and that willingness to share because it's for myself and I hope someone gets something out of it, but if they don't, they don't. And that freedom, it's like this other part of me, this childhood part of me, swoops in and wants to turn that into like a brand or into a show like this. Like I've had this show idea bouncing around in my head for years, and I'm glad to be doing it, to be trying it. And I'm trying not to say that after this season's over this Friday, which is weeks earlier than I thought I would end this season, but I'm trying to get to know myself and really listen to myself and what I need. And I think I'm going to miss doing it because it's given me a routine during this quarantine. Routine. It's given me a quarantine routine. I'm going to miss doing it, but I also, it's like everything's a trade-off. Like even more, I think I miss the flow and the sense of allowing that my life previously had, which kind of bounced around between different projects. It didn't have one project like this, one thing that could make me feel like I'm being successful. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm the type of person that needs to diversify. I can't have all my eggs in one basket because I'm way too affected by what you think of me, and I'm way too affected by the numbers on the screen that tell me whether or not this is successful and whether or not anyone cares about what I'm doing right now. Like this has given me a feeling of awareness that my YouTube channel having low views also makes that pointless too. The same way I feel the feelings of I'm kind of pointless and unknown right now because of the low numbers on the live stream. You know, it's making me see my own low views YouTube channel differently. And some could argue then like, well then change who you are and try to become something that people will like so that there is a reason for your existence. I don't think that's what I'm supposed to be using my life to teach. And I don't even know that I'm supposed to be using my life to teach. And I guess maybe when I say to teach, I mean to teach myself. Like if I really believe in this artist way and this Julia Cameron stuff, if I really believe in it and this concept of allowing and flow and all of that came out of it, and if I really just allow who I am to flow out of me, then the songwriting will keep happening. And the goofy videos and the ones like I did this weekend, that will keep happening. And the lo-fi freak folk will keep happening. And the weird moments of rambling at my piano or in my car or at the lake will keep happening because I like those and they make me feel something positive and they make me feel something cathartic. This is not making me feel something cathartic. This is traumatizing me. Because I can see the live and I can see the eyeball and who's watching right now. And this is my metaphor. This is my metaphor. And a person, ironically, a person in this Artist Way class that I took. I think I'm just going to keep getting myself more and more upset, but I feel like I'm meant to say this. It was like almost a decade ago I took this Artist Way class to deal with some really heavy feelings that had come up because of some things that my ex did, ways he was trying to improve, and then just pulled the rug out from under all of it, and he was very, very not good to me. I'll leave it at that for today. But to help myself cope with all of it, I took this class with a social worker on the Artist Way, and we went through it one chapter at a time. And I don't remember what chapter it was on, but I'll bet I could find it out right now. Maybe it was on a sense of possibility, week 5, or a sense of identity, abundance. I have no idea. It was somewhere in the 1 through 6, because I remember the room we were sitting in. Oh, was it in 7 through 12? I don't know. I took 2 courses. We went through the whole thing. Anyway, in one of these 2 places, she said to me, right as I was sharing and being very vulnerable, and she was saying like how much that had value, and she liked that about it. So she really did affirm me on so many topics, and people found me. I received a lot of positive feedback even from my tendency to cry as I worked through things. And so I feel like I came into myself through that class, and I remember there was a moment where I wasn't feeling affirmed at all, and it was a moment where I shared something about wanting to perform more as a songwriter, but then I was sharing all this negativity that I had about it, about performing. I was just blah, 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 about negative this and that and all these issues that I had with being a live performing singer-songwriter. And she reflected it back to me and she said, well, there are some songwriters who don't perform. Like they don't go out and play shows. They're the songwriter. And maybe you're the type of songwriter that doesn't want to go out and play shows. And I got like so upset at that concept. And I've held that like a seed in my mind, like a thing to fight against. But if I look at the places that I feel the least happy, the least joyful, the least comfortable in my skin, I mean, it's not just, I know on stage I always feel happy because then the parameters are set, my keyboard is there, my feelings are there, especially if it's a dark, like the audience is dark, like it's true introvert stuff. If the audience is dark and I can just be in my bubble, or especially like divey house shows where I feel like everyone there is kind of edgy and anti-establishment, like some of my 2 favorite shows recently. The Galen Leah one, where it's dark and I was focused. Or, you know, the one where I opened for Ditch Lily in the Snake Shack basement. And just dark, funny people. And I'm, you know, just being myself. And around people that I knew already liked me. Low pressure, low stakes. But even the one for the opening for Galen Leah was a high pressure, high stakes. But it was, you know, it was just the dark room. And this is why I get confused. Because I do love performing. But I think I love performing more as like I did as a theater actor. Like where there's going to be a through line from beginning to end. Not like out in a bar where people talk over you. Not like at a wedding reception where you're trying to be really flashy and make people feel like excited in that one moment by how you use your vocal cords. Like mine's more about story. I mean, I've given this a lot of thought before. I've considered like, well, what if I, you know, for an album release show, instead of performing the songs, you know, let my friend do a dance, like choreograph some dancing to the song and then put it up on YouTube and that's my album release. I don't know. Stuff like that. So this is how you allow your feelings to just flow and you don't know where they're leading and no one's dropped in, and at least according to this it says I have no viewers, and just feeling really small today, really unsubstantial for how hard it is for me to generate all this feeling and all of this desire to share every day. I think that's why I don't want to commit to a season 2 and say that it's just the live streaming. I don't think it's the live streaming that's the problem. I think that's part of what's hard for me about this. But I think the other part that I'm allowing myself to say right now, because allowing and flow helps you stay unblocked and helps you move in your life in the directions that are right for you. So one, live streaming has taught me that live streaming feels too much like performing and having a set time and having to be ready and show up and look cute. And on the days that I feel good, it's super fun. On the days that I have felt good, this has been so joyful. And actually, there have been some days where I didn't feel good, but because of who showed up, it felt so joyful by the end. But on the days that I feel introverted and I don't want to do it, I don't like having this scripted pressure to force myself and show up and perform on something that's meant to be loving and cathartic and healing for you. So it's partly the live stream, but it's partly the construct and the format. I think it's partly that I always wanted to do a segmented show like this, to the point where I envisioned out a future life for myself. The same way I used to envision out future lives with a kids album being successful. Like I have envisioned so many different future realities for myself. But they all involve this like imaginary fan base. like if you need an imaginary fan base to do the thing that you don't secretly really want to do, if you didn't have the imaginary fan base, like would I do this scripted of a show just for myself and like my mom and my sister? Actually, yes, for my mom and my sister, yes, but they don't come every day. My sister can't, she has to homeschool now. And, you know, my parents probably don't always want to watch me talk about feelings for 2 hours. Like, it's a little intense. And I probably wouldn't be being this meta if my mom and my sister were here. So maybe I needed a day where I could just be real about how hard this is for me. It's like I'm trying to create proof for anyone, whoever in the future tells me, you should do this, you should do that, you should do whatever with your talents. And it's like, I've been getting that since I was a child. And it's really hard for me because I've wanted to please everyone who's ever had an idea for what I should do with my life. I've wanted to please you. But I feel like allowing and flow and my own secret wisdom in all of this is that I need to stop trying to please people. Like even the fact that my life's path in terms of money has been being a piano teacher, well, I've had to let go of wanting to please my students. Like, if you want to make them good at piano, you have to stop wanting them to be pleased with you. Even the parents probably shouldn't be pleased with me. Like, I should be making sure their kids are learning, you know. And I do, but it's a hard line to walk. Anyway. So that's how you feel feelings. That's how you allow them. That's how you allow a cathartic experience to happen through you. You say things even though you're afraid to say them. You say them in a journal. You say them in a video journal. You say them. And then you let it flow through you. Even if the truth is something that A, scares you, which is what I was talking about today, is truths that scare me. B, truths that you don't want to be true. I wanted to love doing this so much that then I kept doing it all the way through the quarantine, and I wanted to just be eternally helpful to you. But the thing is, I get depleted. And if I'm going to be someone who gets depleted by how much I want to share, then I need to not do things that are so structured by a time frame or by a script. I need to do things that are more free-flowing. And so if you get something out of listening to me, you would also have to let go of, I guess, of there being a structure to it. But I'll still finish through Friday, and then there will be, 13 randomly, I don't even like that number, but whatever, 13 shows that are all time-stamped with all these different topics, and you can watch it, and you can get stuff out of those. And I don't have to do this going forward for my whole life in order to be helpful. My YouTube channel is a hodgepodge. It is a rainbow. It is full of all kinds of things, and different people can get different things from it, and I just have to trust that that's what is supposed to be in my life. All right, that's the Feeling Your Feelings segment. Next up, the present. Oops. Sorry, I gotta change filters. Okay. So, just gonna remind you how to get present. So, you can look around your room, see the color, see the light. One thing that doesn't help, if you're trying to get present, maybe don't look at objects that have a story attached. That can be very distracting if you end up thinking about the story. So maybe close your eyes. Part of the reason I'm realizing I don't like live streaming is I don't like looking at myself on a camera every day. I don't like this experience every time. Sometimes I like it, but it's a little too much for me. So, I'm going to get present by going inside my sweatshirt. So just focus on your breathing. And if it helps you, you can close your eyes or you can go inside your sweatshirt. And yeah, just get really present. You know what? Rather than me teach you how to get present, you probably know how to get present. I'm going to just get present for me right now. Sorry, I'm hiding. I'm just not feeling it today. We'll focus on this lamp while I get present over here. Okay. That is getting present. And watch other past episodes if you want to see more about how to do that. Because when I was feeling more like outward and extroverted and giving, it was a lot easier to do that segment in a way that might be helpful to you. Whereas this time it was probably mostly just helpful to me. But okay, well, this filter's cool. I think I'm also just feeling very conscious of life and aging, and there's just a lot of things that come up when you live stream, a lot of feelings, and so it's hard to do a feelings show where you talk about those feelings. Okay. Anyway, sorry, this filter is just so cool. Okay, next up, creative space. Space, 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 space. Okay, so for the creative space segment, we have to go to the next room. Follow me. I lost my coffee. Hang on. Follow me to get my coffee. And by follow me, I mean people watching this in the future, because in the spirit of transparency, so that future me understands why I don't look happy or comfortable right now. There are no people here in my live stream, and I'm still going with it. And I never wanted to be someone who admits that stuff, but just for today. Today is the meta experience. I've had more people in every other show than this one, and this is just really flipping uncomfortable. To have just an empty live stream talking to myself. You know, if it's gonna be empty, I'd much prefer doing them in a way that just is private and sacred and just for me. So that's what I'm learning from doing this show. I don't like live. I learned that actually, I think on day 1 or day 2. I think I already knew that I didn't like the live stream experience, because when it's good, it's very good. So when you're interacting with someone, or people are saying nice things like they were in yesterday's show or Friday's show or other shows, when it's good, it's very good. You feel so loved. And then when it drops out and you don't know why, it's different from one moment to the next. And so it's like weird to just continue doing this show. Like I can't just get into myself and my own ideas and my own heart and my own feelings, because at any moment someone else could drop in and then I want to be all about you. And then when they drop back out, then I have to go back to being about myself, and it's just like too jarring. So it's not just seeing you come and go on the live stream. It's who am I directing my love towards? And if there's literally no one here right now, then am I directing it to my future YouTubers who may or may not ever show up and watch these? Like, I don't know. This is like deeply painful. So like that experience proves to me, and I need to allow it to prove it to me. Like some people have a type of resilience that says, well, don't trust this one, don't trust this show, trust the times when it was good. But I have like a kind of analytical and almost scientific mind. I'm an INFJ, and I'm very aware of how things make me feel is part of the compass. It's part of the map to my future self, to my future life. And the ways that I am helpful to you and me at the same time are the compass. That's the map. If I am only helpful to you, but then you're not interested in me 90% of the time or 99.9% of the time, if I'm just some little piece of sugar cereal for you, like a sound bite, then how do I devote 99.9% of my time to something that you're going to engage with 0.1% of the time And the other 99.9% of the time, I'm doing something that doesn't resonate with me naturally so that you can eventually feel that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Hold on one second. Wow. Yeah, it's a cool idea. Like, I like that I am doing this. Oops. I'm just very distracted. Brooklyn made a giant group. Oh, wait. Oh, that's cute. Oh, well. Anyway, that's my niece doing something on Facebook. She's very cute. All right, well, I guess this is the creative share time. And I guess what I've just done right now is talked about my creative life. And that actually is something, it wasn't what I put down. I was going to talk about right and left brain stuff today. I'm going to carry that to tomorrow because I just don't feel like getting into that in a day that is as meta as this. So, carrying to tomorrow. I may never get to it, I should warn you. And I was going to talk about this zine on songwriting and on that. Yeah, that'll be tomorrow. So instead, for the rest of the creative space segment, I'm just going to wrap up what I was saying about, and I know this show is so meta today, and I don't really know what to make of that. But I guess that's the last thing I'll say on creative space for today, is that if your creativity, I think people need to understand that creativity feels deeply selfish because it comes from the self. So doing something creative is gonna feel selfish in its core. That doesn't mean it is selfish, but it's gonna feel selfish because it comes from the self. The same way you having a home and paying your bills is selfish. You know, when you earn money, you don't go out and pay someone else's bills and then get evicted. You pay your bills. It's the whole airplane thing of put your own mask on first and then help the person next to you or you're not helpful. So that's what creativity feels like. It feels selfish. But somewhere along the line, maybe my heart energy got really poisoned and I came to feel really guilty for how creative I was. And maybe that's what's given me this preoccupation with thinking I need to make my creativity about other people and why I keep hijacking my own creative life when I have a creative flow that's going along perfectly well, and then suddenly I disrupt it and I say, no, I'm going to do this show instead, you know. And the motives for doing this show were very pure. The reason I know they're pure is because I wasn't going to do this show for like 3 years. This was just a random dream seed of something I thought I would do someday. And then when everything happened with quarantine, I was like, there's all these people just sitting at home sad and overwhelmed and feeling things. And so I started this show because I was like, well, let's give them something to kind of watch and hold on to. That's at 11 Eastern every day, weekdays. But now I'm even rewriting that. But the reason I'm rewriting that is because I'm finding that people don't need it as much as I thought they might need it. And you know who needs me is me. If you're just joining us, this is the most meta show I've ever done. I allowed myself today because today's Feeling Your Feelings topic was allowing. And I decided to allow myself today to talk about not just feelings for you, but also my feelings and how this show is making me feel, which is an extremely meta decision. And it hasn't felt very good to do it, so I don't want to do another meta show. I have 3 more shows left, and then I'm gonna, my pinky was supposed to be down. 3 more shows left, and then I'm gonna be done doing this in a live stream way. And now that makes me sad because I want to like make the best of them, and I had so much more I wanted to say and so much more I wanted to share. But the thing is, it actually doesn't feel that good if no one is listening. You know, yeah, I had more I wanted to share. Yeah, I wanted to make this show, but I also secretly feel weird about it. It's like, all about me, all about my doodles, all about my world, all about my stuffed animals, my thoughts, my ideas. Like, it's too much me if my point is helping you. Like, if my point is helping you, then if this isn't helping you, it isn't helping you. Although people have told me it does help them. So I'm trying not to be down on myself just because I'm learning that the pressure that this adds to my week at a time when maybe I'm starting to feel how this quarantine is feeling. Maybe I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed by things, and I can't just be some cheery upper feeling butterfly. Like, I can't just float up in the clouds and make you feel better at processing all these heavy emotions when even I'm struggling to process them. So what I learned in this last week, what I deeply learned, is that for my own creativity, for my own sense of flow, this show does not move my creativity through me. It doesn't regenerate my feelings. But then on the weekends, when I didn't have the show to do, I made my own YouTube videos again, and there were clips of songs in them, and those songs seemed to be something people enjoyed on Instagram when I just felt like sharing a clip. And there were rambles in them, and those rambles, I don't know, they were just maybe more authentic because I didn't have the pressure of a live stream. And because the purpose of that was to help me process the quarantine. And then because my purpose was myself, I worked through some emotions. And then my desire to share is almost like separate from the moment of processing. And maybe that's what I'm trying to get across to myself today, is that in the moment of creating, my focus needs to be myself. And that includes creating things like this where I talk to my own phone. Like, knowing right now that my live stream says that no one's here, and then then a 1 pops up. It's like, now knowing somebody is here, and it's like, how does that change what I say? How does that make me feel about how I'm looking or acting? And it's like, it's a little too intense for me. So, I learned I don't like live streaming ideas. B, I learned I don't like or feel okay with the structuring of something like every day, 11 a.m. Eastern, unless there's a demand for it. And if there's a demand for it, sure, maybe. But there hasn't been a huge demand. I mean, people are busy, there's a lot going on. And or there's a lot of downtime, and it's just not something that people want or need in their day. Because it's just me talking and playing music. And, you know, I've learned that I need to focus on things that I really want to do, that soothe me. And if I do that, and then they're soothing to you also, then that'll be great. But I gotta stop putting down my own self and my own desire and my own creative process and saying that that is wrong somehow. You know, my 700 videos on YouTube, but like the ones that aren't coming from a challenge, just the ones that come just from the depths of my soul and the deepest parts of my heart. I've got to stop putting those down. I've got to stop putting those down. This is like to you, Jessica, to future you, because maybe no one will ever watch these, or maybe 5 people will ever watch these and they won't get to this part. This is to future you, Jessica, and you may never get to this part because you're creating so much stuff. To future you, you've got to stop putting down the things that you do authentically. The things that you do out of love. I mean, truth be told, the live streaming is because the filters are so dang cute. But also, I do like making it something that people can find easily. But I wish on YouTube I could just use cute filters on my videos that I make. And I just can't. I don't have them. These are amazing. But you've got to stop putting down the things that you do that are for you, that are creative, that have flow. You just have to. I think that's the growth you needed. You don't need to learn how to structure your life. You don't need to learn how to always be you don't need to learn how to try to be a brand. You can be your exact self, and you'll be needed by some, but not by most. And that's just like everyone. And you just gotta let it go. So that's creative space. my own visions and my own dreams of what to do with my future creative time have actually caused me a lot of pain, including making this show idea, even though I know it's been helpful to some. So I'm glad that I did it, because I feel like something in my soul needed to do it for me. And it's like something in my soul needs to help you for me. I like helping you. I really, 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 really do. But I don't like this weird side effect that I get when I wonder why people don't stick around or keep coming back. Or I know people are busy. Like, this is not a shame on you. I don't support hardly any creative people. I give very little time to the creative people that I love. So shame on me, you know, except no shame. So this whole episode today is an affirmation that your creative life is about you. It's not about sharing it with someone else outside of you and them getting something out of it and then reflecting it back to you. Your creative life is about you. It's what you are experiencing by being a creator. We are created in the image of some great thing, greater than us, right? I mean, your creative life is you experiencing the feeling of creation. And cool filters. So. That's pretty neat. All right, that's the creative space segment for today in my one and only super meta episode, where this is the only time I'm ever allowing myself, because the concept is allowing. This is the only time I'm ever allowing myself to talk about the feelings that I'm having while making this show. So if that's been useful to you, then thank you. But if it is not useful to you, then there's more episodes you can go back and watch. This is so cool. All right, next. I gotta change the filter real quick. Next up, spiritual stuff. All right. So the spiritual stuff segment is just me saying spiritual thoughts. Sometimes I recommend books. Yeah, spiritual stuff. I don't have much to say today. All I wrote down here is that creativity brings you closer to God. Flowing has included my anger at God. And then just wanted to point out to you one more thing. I guess I'll comment on that before I go on to that. Creativity brings you closer to God. So, like, if you have a lot of feelings in you and then you let them flow out, that's going to connect you to your more divine self rather than to your trauma. And the more you connect to whatever that divine sense of self is that you have and kind of weed through the crappy stuff of your trauma, you will eventually feel better and feel more like yourself. And by feeling more like the pure version of yourself, you will feel closer to God or to your creator or to whatever spiritual beliefs you have. That's been my experience. So that's that. And then flowing has included my anger at God. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's just a weird thing to say. I just want to hold this today because I'm feeling very weird. I just really didn't pretty myself up at all today, and it's really affecting my ability to just sit and stare at myself and talk. Gross. All right. Which is sad because I know beauty culture, blah, 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 blah. But still, it's distracting me today because it's making me feel lower self-esteem than I sometimes have about image stuff. I probably haven't been eating my best either because of everything going on in the world. Back to flowing has included my anger at God. Okay, so God can handle your anger. Whether or not you believe in God, if you believe in the possibility of a God, and you yell at the ceiling at how angry you are at things going on, like whatever God there is isn't going to be mad at you for that. Like God can handle that. Like, if God is real, which I believe God is real, then God is bigger than anything we can throw at God. And sure, all the books out there say you should like honor your God and all of that. But like if you don't believe in God, then I don't think God is sitting there preoccupied with whether or not you're honoring God. Like if you're to the point of complete non-belief or shaky belief, I think God would rather you use your own creativity and your own time and your own breath to work through in a creative way, i.e. however you feel, you work through your feelings of frustration and anger and doubt and discouragement and resentment. You work through all of that. You can't just suddenly decide to forgive and then forgive and be like, I forgave. Like you have to work through it. And it's not really work. It's allowing. It's back to this concept of allowing and flow. And maybe you'll get some tears. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. I didn't eat yet today. That's probably another reason I'm feeling off. But you work through it and you allow it. And you allow it to flow. And you allow it to come out and go back. And it's like a yo-yo. And it's just a mess. And God is fine with that. As far as I can understand from everything I've read, if you don't believe in God, that's okay. But I'm saying that if there is a God and you even believe in a seed, like even a shadow of a doubt that there is a God, then I'm telling you that there would be no reason that if your faith is waning, that God would also have restrictions and pressures on you to do it perfectly. That makes no sense. Why would that be what God would want? God would want you to rage in all your frustration. I would think, and it feels true, that God would want you to allow yourself to do and say whatever you need to do and say, which I guess I'll act it out for you right now because I just made myself cry again. But like, this is my example. Like maybe I'm partly a little mad at God right now. Like I don't have followers. I don't have a fan base. I've been doing this for over a decade, not this show, but like I understand that I keep changing topics and I understand that my music is confusing and demanding and requires a lot of people, but I don't even want my like close to me people to be into it. I just don't even know how to find a fan base. I guess I have like 800 some Instagram followers and people seem to like the people who see it and follow me do seem to like my clips that I share of songs that I've written or of little rants that I've done. And when those come from an authentic place, then it feels very win-win. Like when I'm just being myself and then I share myself, it feels very win-win. And that stuff feels connected to God. But this doesn't feel very connected to God for me. This feels like connected to my own excitement. That's one. This feels connected to my own ego. Like cool, I structured a whole show and it's really fun to have created something. It really is fun to have created something like this. It really is. And I'll never regret having created it and having had it be a thing. I just didn't know it would be this short-lived. Like, I didn't know I'd wake up today and not want to do it anymore. And I think part of me is, like, angry at God for that. Like, angry at how stupid my life has looked and how failure-filled my life has looked. It's so weird because if someone were to pop in the live stream right now, they'd be like, what the F are you doing? So I will soothe myself for all of my many failures and misstarts. There is a part of me that has wanted so badly to seem more normal or more like a person with structure or more like a person who has an idea and a vision and then executed it to the point that I've created these challenges for myself to show that I know how to have an idea and a vision and execute it. I just don't want to. So like, all the suggestions I've had to use my creativity differently, all the ways that I've listened to people who've had ideas for me. Like, I'm not saying that to make you feel bad if you're one of the people who's had ideas for me. But it's just like, God is using me. Like, I have a natural resonance and a natural flow with time. And time like moves through me, and it makes these 30 to 60 to 90-minute long YouTube videos when I'm by myself by the lake, or 10-minute ones. And it's just like, it just moves through me. And it feels good. It feels connected to God, and it feels connected to time, and it feels more like how this moment is starting to feel, where it resonates for a second, but then the live stream concept starts to mess it up, because like, why is no one here? Why is no one interested in me? And it's like, when I'm just making YouTube videos by myself, I don't feel that. I don't think about that. I don't worry about whether or not later I'll have views or follows. Like, it just is what it is. And yeah, there aren't cute filters on that, but it just is what it is. And I do it when I'm inspired, and I don't do it when I'm not inspired. And my inspiration is how it's a reflection of my connectedness to God. So am I angry at God, or am I thankful to God for showing me this about myself? That all my desires to take my natural impulses and turn them into like a concept, and turn them into a brand, and turn them into a show, and show off my ego that can make all these cute structures, but then can't follow my own structures because I don't have an interest in it, or God just isn't in it for me. God does not come to visit me in a sort of regular feeling, flowing way when I am lost in my own structures, because my structures box me in. And when I'm boxed in, I don't feel flow in the same way. I don't feel God in the same way. I don't feel useful in the same way. And if you were here right now, if there were 10 people in my live stream, I wouldn't be saying any of this. I'd just be saying whatever I feel would be useful to you. And maybe that's where God is confusing for me, because I do believe that that's also God using me. But the live stream concept makes me have to go back and forth between, am I being for myself? Am I having a through line between me and God? Or am I being for you? Because I see you here. I see it as a number, and I see your name pop up. And because of both of those things, I speak to what I imagine you might need to hear. And I actually feel sometimes the Spirit of God kind of moving through me for what you need to hear. And so maybe God is purposely keeping people away today so I can have one episode where I just speak my fully unedited truth. I have no idea. And I know my beliefs in God are really, 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 really weird. I know they're super flowy and super creative. And because there's no one here right now, I'll say it. I'm probably constantly editing and altering the way I talk about God based on who's in the room, the live stream room. And maybe God knows that that's not useful for me. Maybe that's a form of lying. Crafting an image, crafting a brand. That's a way that I lie. It's a way that I'm not my authentic self, that I'm nothing like Joan of Arc, that I'm nothing like any pastors that I've seen videos of recently who just speak their truth, who speak what they feel is true between them and God, and they speak it out loud no matter who's listening. Whereas here I am admitting that when I am in a live stream, I see who's here and I alter for you because I'm trying to be helpful to you. But how is that helpful to you if it's a lie? How is it helpful to you if it's altered for you? If I'm trying to speak what I think will get through to you, then why not get through to you? That's too condescending. Just speak what I think would be useful to you. Because I have 400,000 thoughts on my mind at any given time, and they're not all going to be possible for me to say at any time. And so if I see a name pop up, I'm like, well, this person, this topic, this person, this topic. And that's where God, I think, is using this experience for my growth more than yours. That I needed to realize that I have this problem. This is why live shows mess me up, because at every live show that I play, whether it's the Pyramid Scheme or a basement house show at our own house or the Snake Shack, who comes to the show changes the show I do. How many people? Oh, okay, tummy. Jumping to the next segment. My tummy wants to talk to me. let's just jump to it. They're related. Your body and mind. Who comes to the show changes the show for me. I'm the most opposite of certain people that I know and love, who are themselves. No matter where they go, their self is clear. And, you know, like if you're a pastor and you're for God, your self is connected. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about that thing because now I'm in the Your Body and Mind segment. This is the segment where we put a hand on a body part and we let it talk to us. And mine is my gut, and it is saying, yes, you got it. And I'm not going to refer back to all the other episodes. You can watch them if you want, but like, that's it. My gut is saying, yes, you got it. That's it. It is like really loud right now. It's not just hungry. Like I can feel that it's like, yes, let this be your confidence. Let it be known to yourself that live streaming and doing live shows, live, where people can walk in and out, where people can have a look on their face, where they can think their own thoughts, where you are sitting there imagining that so-and-so will get this out of this, but so-and-so would get more of this, and you're tailoring how you talk and you're altering who you are to try to connect with, not reach in a teacher-student way, but connect with whoever's in the room. You're trying to change who you are to fit the room. That is something I've been doing my whole life, since middle school and maybe high school too, and it's a performer thing, and that's why I was uncomfortable doing theater when I was in high school versus when I was in elementary school, because by high school I was aware that people were assessing me and putting me in boxes. So by high school, doing theater company, I wasn't very comfortable doing improv or even comedy at all, because I was aware that certain things were dorky to certain people and certain things were funny to certain crowds, and using a lot of words was funny to this crowd, and using a lot of physical humor maybe was funny to this crowd, and I wanted to please everyone, and you literally can't. So my whole life has been this weird kind of wishing I could please everyone and realizing I don't please everyone at all. And that's why I think I need to share things past tense. I need to share shows past tense. I need to share songs past tense. I need to make music videos and share them past tense. Like, I need to have my own creative experience where I please myself and my own sense of God. And that's where I need to live. And then, you know, sorry, I'm getting notifications. If I live in there, then I can share it if I want to. But I don't get to control who thinks what about me. And hopefully I'm only sharing things that resonate truly with me and aren't these weird things that I do at live shows, and now I've learned I also do on live streams, which is kind of altering how I speak and what I talk about based on who's in the room. So my tummy was saying, yes, you got it, that's it, you have to stop this. So that means I guess I'm not really going to go live much more in my life. I might even do the last 3 shows filmed. Yeah. Sorry, that just made me really happy. So maybe I'll get up early tomorrow and I'll try to film all the segments, and I'll still put it on my YouTube by Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m., but maybe not. Maybe it'll just be a little later in the day. Yeah. Yay, epiphanies. That just made my heart feel really, really good. So my last 3 shows are not going to have the cute filters, and they will not be live streamed. They will be filmed and segmented and put together. And let's see, that'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that's it. And then I will take a break. Or break forever. We'll see. Maybe that'll help me find out if I like doing this show once it is not being watched live. And once I know that the filming that I'm doing, like I said this from day one, but the issue too with going live is that for some reason my video editing software can't edit these. And so basically I'm still doing it live just for the cute filters. That's insane. Like I had said from day one, I wanted to be able to chop these up, but I couldn't because these videos don't let me. So, all right. That is Your Body and Mind. And now it is song time. Well, I wrote down that I'm going to play the song Garden. I don't think my keyboard in here is set up. I think my boyfriend is down for his lunch break. So I'm going to sneak back in there and play this song. Okay. So, the song Garden, it's on the album called Misfits, In Love with the World, which is what I am and what I'm sad to be. And when you're a misfit, but you're also in love with the world, it can be a painful experience because you don't necessarily feel like the world loves you back in the same way you love the world. And that's okay. Okay. I think let's do, oops. I gotta put a filter on. A new filter. Let's try that one. That is not appropriate for this song at all, but that's okay. Oh no, wait, I learned that I can't put the phone like that because it'll show the keys backwards. Let me flip. Sorry, I'm so distracted right now. Let's just show the keys backwards. Who cares? Well, that song is called Garden. It's on the Misfits album. It's got a bird on it. It's like way back in my band camp from like April of 2018, I think. And Ryan Wyrick made the cover art. And it's all about being at this moment in time right now and realizing that life, all of the positive things in life, and the negative things in life. All of it. If you can get very present and just realize and be honest with yourself. That the highs and the lows, they all come together and they all just are in this moment right now, and it's not like time's a lie maybe, but it's like our love of time is a lie. The more you love, the more you're sad for any loss. Alright, I should wrap this up so Brian can make his lunch without worrying about tiptoeing for me. I'll do the theme song on the piano again. I haven't done it here in a while, I don't think. That's kind of weird sounding up there. Okay, whatever. Well, in case I didn't tell you enough today, and I really truly didn't, because it was the most meta of all my shows. Anyway, you rock. I know this is backwards, but I'm sure you can figure out what it says. And this was given to me at a very important moment. I'm not sure why I'm trying to give away all my most important things. Maybe I'm trying to preserve it for myself. But I hope you get something out of it too. Live stream, but I'll see you at the pre-recorded shows. There'll be 3 more, and then after that, you know, you can find me on YouTube, find me rambling on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, just being myself, because that's what today's episode taught me. Thanks, episode. Thanks, God. Thanks, couple people that showed up for a minute or two. This was my weirdest show yet, but that's okay. Bye.